What's up everybody and welcome to the cave. I'm GrizzlyKaun and we have finally reached the actual season 3 content of House of the Dragon. I just hope this isn't the tone for the rest of the season. Let's get into it. What a complete tonal shift from anything else that we've seen in this streaming universe. I have to, I guess, commend you, Sarah Hess. Never before have I been watching an episode of Game of Thrones or Hot D and thought to myself, wow, I feel like I'm watching an episode of New Girl or Scrubs. Between the very weird music choices and that god-awful discordant violin track that played anytime Rhaenyra started to feel a bit overwhelmed from her duties. At about the midpoint of the episode, I had to turn to my wife and ask her if she also felt like she was watching a CW or Netflix drama. Now, I didn't hate the episode. I didn't so much mind the writing and the things that happened in the plot itself, although there were some questionable choices. But all the background music and everything that was meant to set the vibe and the mood of the episode, fire whoever put that in there. We don't want that. So starting off the episode with a cold open. I don't think it could be any more plain at this point. This was indeed the season opener of season 3. Everything about this episode felt completely different from the last two. So we start off with Daemon making his demands to Ormond Hightower.
Only bend the knee and swear your allegiance. You may return to Old Town and live your lives in peace. I almost forgot.
Ormond is to hand over Daeron Targaryen, who would be an heir to the throne under Aegon. So Ormond very willingly obliges Daemon.
It's almost too easy.
Now at this point, I would like to think that Daemon is a pretty smart and capable guy. Sarah Hess might have you believe that he's not, but based on everything that's happened so far, I'm pretty sure he's the kind of guy that would make sure that this is actually Daeron before he just blindly accepts this boy, who wasn't even atop his dragon this entire scene, was in fact the actual heir. But in hindsight, I guess that really there wouldn't be all that much left to this episode besides Rhaenyra being overwhelmed while on her period, if there wasn't this fake out at the end. And so we jump to the new queen herself, who believes that she needs to justify her father's faith in her and rule the way that he would have wished. Daemon basically says,
"Sure, Jan."
Rhaenyra then begins her spiral into being flustered, which she stays in for the rest of the episode, and begins by planning her inauguration. Prince Daeron refuses to speak a single word and is confined to his quarters.
He's a claimant to the throne. You're going to have to kill him.
However, just as she begins to make her festivity plans, turns out
the crown's wealth has been taken.
Taken?
And here is where we get one of my favorite moments of the episode. Rhaenyra asks Corlys if he trusts the word of the Grand Maester Orwyle, but who should answer but...
I do not believe he knows where the gold is, and I fancy I can sniff a lie.
The sniveling white worm. And just as the thought entered my head, Daemon put it into words right on the screen.
No one asked you.
Shut up, bitch!
At least they did something right in this episode, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sarah Hess wrote it to show Daemon in a bad light. Corlys doesn't even acknowledge it, and they move on. Rhaenyra demands tribute from all the great houses to fill the coffers back up as her people are going hungry. She will not have her small council brought in from Dragonstone because they allowed her to be confined to her room by her son Jace, even though they've kind of been right about all the advice that they've given her in the past, including that she shouldn't go fight in the gullet. But anyway, rats are running rampant around King's Landing after Aegon had all the rat catchers killed, and Alicent also has no idea where the gold has went, as it was the Master of Coin who had it moved.
I have done all I could. Will you blame me only for what men have done?
So with everything going wrong, Rhaenyra decides that Alicent and Helaena should both be held captive until Aegon is captured and the threat to her rule is extinguished. So with one bad idea after another, Rhaenyra decides that it shall be proclaimed that Aegon was found dead when they arrived at King's Landing, and Joffrey shall be brought in from the Vale and be raised as her heir. Rhaenyra meets with High Septon Balmon and decides to make an enemy of the faith in record time. She wishes to be anointed by Balmon in view of all of the people of King's Landing, but he refuses because there's no evidence of Aegon being dead. Also,
my gods do not deal in dragons.
You have made your position exceedingly clear.
oh, and all the while as the scene builds, we get a nice dose of tinnitus to show how much stress she's under. If you didn't know already. Rhaenyra has dinner with Lord Corlys, Alan, and Adam so she can learn some shocking news.
I must confess to you now a thing you may have guessed before. Alan of Hull and his brother Adam are my sons.
I did not
guess, though I believe I see it now.
Corlys would like Rhaenyra to legitimize Adam and Alan so that Alan can become Corlys's heir. The next morning, Rhaenyra prepares to hear the problems of the people, but oh no!
Fuck, I'm bleeding.
She got her period, wouldn't you know it? As if she doesn't have enough on her plate. At this point in the episode, I really started to feel the oxygen channel just like breaking into the show. So she hears the issues of the people, and it turns out the lords of the land have been hoarding all the food and resources in their storehouses so their families don't go hungry, all while leaving the people of the city to scrounge for scraps. So what should you do to bring this issue to the offenders?
A banquet, I think.
Rhaenyra has Ulf, Hugh, and Adam knighted, Ulf the White, Hugh the Hammer, and
Adam of Hull.
foregoing the requested title of Valyrian that Corlys asked for. Hugh went to find his wife in the city, but turns out she left to Tumbleton to go live with her brother. So he was told to send for her, and then Rhaenyra will set aside a house for them when she has time. And so the banquet begins for the lords who are storing away food for themselves. In short, Rhaenyra had all their storehouses raided while they were there at the banquet in order to give the food back to the people. What's on the menu for the attending lords and ladies? But before she can depart the banquet,
Sir Torrhen Manderley, your grace, your humble servant,
was sure to remind her that it was her blockade that caused the food shortage in the first place, and hopefully her people won't remember that. Now Daemon wishes to continue the conquering of Westeros, moving to Dorne and the Free Cities so they can capture their riches and wealth as well, all the while Rhaenyra can't even hold things together at the capital for 2 days. Daemon gives in to his queen, but he reminds her,
You still have to kill Darren.
Rhaenyra feeds the people of King's Landing, but Corlys has gotten word now that she didn't give Adam the title that he asked her.
You styled him Hull rather than Velaryon. We had agreed, I thought, that he and Alan would be legitimized.
Rhaenyra tells Corlys, however, at this moment she cannot do as he asks. Because of the rumors of her children born with black hair that are bastards, she can't afford to raise up those that are born outside of noble trough. Corlys gets pissed, not even having a castle to his name at this point, when this is the only request he's made for her since he's lost everything. So in full earshot of anyone nearby, he yells,
Your son Jacaerys lived and died a bastard! Say aloud to me the reason your children deserve what mine are denied.
Man, how could her day get any worse, right? Rhaenyra decides to go visit Alicent and disclose to her that she does have Darren as her captive, and instead of taking his head like she should, she's gonna send him to the wall to take the black. He can live as a Night's Watch and go stare at ice. But before she sends him off, she will allow Alicent to come see him. Well, lo and behold,
You don't know this boy, but he is not Darren.
lol, whoops. And can we just point out how Olivia Cook is just nailing this what the fuck look, because she's certainly getting a lot of practice with all the weird shit that constantly goes on around her these days. So it turns out Lord Ormond Hightower had this boy's hair blanched, told him if he doesn't stay quiet and act as the prince, he's gonna have his mother hanged.
Ormond has deceived me.
It just never ends for this lady. But all of a sudden, a dragon keeper has appeared at the gates. Turns out the Hightower host has taken Tumbleton and its people hostage. And so we reach the end of the season 3 premiere. I didn't exactly dislike the things happening in the plot. Besides the switch of Darren, like I said, Daemon should just be too smart for that. But man, the tone and everything done with the music in this episode was just not it. Please don't do this again. The entire episode felt like if I took a major corporation skin and put it over everything so Rhaenyra was like the CEO of a company, this would straight up be like a CW or Oxygen or Netflix series. I don't need to hear the tinnitus triggered sound every time Rhaenyra is overwhelmed, which is pretty much the entirety of this episode, so you just hear it over and over again.
Like these, it is a cudgel in irresponsible hands used to strike.
Just let the dialogue do its thing. You don't have to do all that. It's also becoming more and more apparent that Rhaenyra should just absolutely not be in charge. Especially if it's day 2 and she's already reaching this point of triggered, like, just let Daemon do it. Please, just let Daemon have the throne. He's gonna handle it so much better. But we know they won't. All I know is I hope the rest of the season isn't gonna be Rhaenyra having a bad day at work. But lucky for us, this was the last episode of the season written by Sarah Hess, so maybe we can get back into the show the way we know it should feel. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss future content. Coming up this week in the movies, we have my personally long-awaited Evil Dead Burn. And as far as series go, of course we have the House of the Dragon, but I'm also working on the X-Men 97 series. So until next time, I'm GrizzlyKaun, and remember, the cave is always open.